So I didn't love this draft, largely due to who they got at number 1 overall, but I didn't hate it either. I thought they got some good players, and even Trayvon Walker, who obviously that's the headliner, right? He is the guy. He's interesting. I'm not just going to write him off and say he's a bust, because Trayvon Walker, I actually think, I don't know if I fully agree that he's this completely low floor guy. Like, there's clear value in him, right? I think there are things he will come in and do very well right away. I have kind of talked this to death a little bit, the Trayvon Walker stuff, if you've been following this channel. But to recap, if you haven't seen it, and he just didn't have enough production in college, and I think, all the stuff about him being a great run defender, I think Aiden Hutchinson's a better run defender. So it's just kind of a weird move for me. It's too risky, and again, analytics especially show that kind of the Trayvon Walker guys, in terms of guys who don't have a ton of production in college, typically don't end up having the much production at the NFL level. Like, forget about sacks. Like, you look at, and I know people keep bringing up things like, well, look at how he was used. Look at these situations. You can isolate that stuff. I mean, guys at PFF have gone back and looked like, okay, just pure, third down rushing the passer sets, or just like, okay, times when he actually was just straight on rushing the passer, his numbers were way lower than other guys were. That's just statistics. I mean, the reality is there are guys on the interior defensive line at Georgia who were doing a better job rushing the passer than he was. So he's an awesome athlete, and there's definitely the athletic upside, but it'll probably take him some time to figure it out. That's just the reality of the situation. But again, there's real value in him. He is someone who could be like a legit awesome player in a couple years. So that's the hope if you're a Jaguars fan. So I want to give both sides. I don't love it, but I also don't want to sit here and like crush all Jaguars optimism, because I do get the logic behind it. It's just not the move I would make. But again, part of that is just philosophies on drafting in the first place. Hey, here's a pick I love. Devin Lloyd here at 27. I think he's really good. So at number 19 on the consensus board, and that's what, by the way, that's what you're looking at on this the screen. What you see is every player, of course. Where they got drafted is all the way on the left. The consensus board is the number right next to their name. Devin Lloyd, 19 there. I had him as number 4 on my board. Now, again, linebackers, so not really worth drafting 4th overall, but definitely worth drafting 27th overall. He is awesome. Go check out my film study on him if you haven't already, and you're a Jaguars fan and you want to get excited, because I think he has Bobby Wagner-like tendencies. He really does. Not just that, but you can definitely make some comparisons to Micah Parsons, as he is someone who can go line up on the edge, and like, he has legit good pass rush snaps. I'll say this, he's the more, as of right now, you need one guy to win a pass rush snap. I'd go with Devin Lloyd over Trayvon Walker, because he can legit do that. He was better as a pure pass rusher than Trayvon Walker was, which is, kind of a good thing and a bad thing for Jaguars fans. But what is also interesting is, I think the Jaguars are going to value versatility. So for someone like Lloyd, him and Walker are very versatile. And if you believe that Walker is better than he, was at Georgia, and he can be a better pro, well, then, that could be really exciting. If they're right about Trayvon Walker, this defense could go from really bad to really interesting really quickly. So that's fun. Also, Luke Fortner at 65. So his consensus big board rating is lower, and I'm not saying that's horrible. Like, I'm not saying I totally disagree, but part of that is just positional value. He's a center. Centers don't get taken as highly as other positions do. However, I think he could be a day one, like, solid center for them. He did have production in college, which, again, for offensive and defensive linemen, that matters. Doesn't matter for quarterbacks, but it does matter for those positions, and he had production. So he is someone who I think could translate to the NFL level. Again, just given the way that, he checks the boxes on the statistics that typically translate to the NFL level. So that's cool. I think he'll be pretty good probably, even if it feels like a reach. I think this is actually a pretty solid selection. And same thing with so people were mocking the Jaguars, and I don't mean mock drafting, but making fun of the Jaguars a little bit by drafting Chad Muma here at 70, because most people like Muma, again, 58 on the consensus big board, so it's good value, but a lot of people felt like, okay, you don't need a linebacker. And my argument is, you're not a good enough team to be drafting for need. Like, they kind of could use a linebacker. Okay, yeah, you just went out and paid one, but you didn't pay a great one, so you still have to go out and find another one. Plus, like, hey, I think Devin Lloyd's going to be awesome. No one knows anything. It's the draft, so why not double down? Why not double dip here? And the reality is, like, he'll find ways to get snaps. So if you think he's a second-round talent here at number 70, go out and take him. Like, you're not a good enough team to be drafting for need. Just go take the best player and figure out how it works. So that's kind of how I view it there for the Jaguars. As for the 3 later picks, the 150-plus picks, first, a running back, Snoop Conner, which, okay, my first reaction to getting a running back, not great. Jaguars, stop drafting running backs. You're good on running backs. You have a good situation there. But, again, past 150 is when I'm cool with getting a running back. You can typically get good value if you like him. Like I said, you're not really in position to draft for need too much, so I'm not going to complain that heavily, and maybe he can play good special teams and stuff. It feels like a reach to me, but again, what else were you going to get there is kind of the thing, so I'm not going to crush them too much. We then had 2 corners who are kind of very, like, diametrically opposed corners. Like, they're just like 2 complete opposite corners, and maybe that's why they drafted both of them. So Gregory Jr. is very much a Trent Baalke type guy of good athlete, but you got to teach him to play corner. And then Montrak Brown, kind of the opposite, a guy who can, wins with his high football IQ type guy, is from, I haven't studied him too much, but that's what I've read up about him. So if that's the case, then you kind of got 2 very different guys. They're probably both going to be depth guys, and let's be honest, guys at this point in the draft tend to be more special teamers than anything, so that's probably what they're going to do, but a couple interesting prospects along there as well. So you look at this draft, and they got some real good talent in this draft. Again, Devin Lloyd, Trayvon Walker, Luke Fortner, and Chad Muma, like, that's a good talent draft, but it has to be said, you had the first overall pick. You had the first pick in the second round. You should have gotten good talent, and they probably should have gotten better talent than what they got, is my opinion, because it's an evaluation thing. I'm not that high on Trayvon Walker. You get it. Everyone knows the Trayvon Walker argument at this point. If you like Trayvon Walker, like, you probably love this draft, unless you don't like Devin Lloyd. But again, we're all dealing with our own evaluations as well, which is why things can get a little muddy. But even if you just look at the consensus board, like, the difference between 1 and 4 is pretty significant. I mean, how much would a team trade up typically just to move up those 3 spots? Like, sometimes a first rounder, depending on the draft. So that is a pretty significant jump right there. And it's a bold move, but listen, it could work out. I know people have brought up the Aldon Smith thing, but Aldon Smith had production in college, so I think it's a poor argument. Like, again, to me, the better example would be, like, if they went Kayvon Thibodeau. Okay, I could see that. But, like, Hutchinson was a really good athlete too. But again, it is what it is. This is what the Jaguars did. That's my thoughts on their draft. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.